How's it going, guys and gals? This is Elder Woe coming back at you. We're picking back up. Just here to talk about my current build and where we're at and how it's going. So far it's going pretty well. We're up to T6 maps. When it comes to the Atlas, we're doing pretty good. Gear wise, I just got an upgrade, but I messed it up. I put in the wrong rune, so this is a perfect reason why there should be like a just in case button that says, are you sure you want to put this rune in this, in this socket, and it tells you what the rune does, whatever the case might be. But I kind of ruined the weapon. I could have got 40% more increased physical damage, which this weapon would have been crazy, because the base is so good because it has increased critical hit chance already naturally. So yeah, it would have been really good. This alone, just that 1.5% that's added from the base, brought me from like 27% all the way up to 31%. So it's really good. If you can get some more flat added to the weapon, it's great. But my current build is, of course, Monk, the Invoker. Initially, I went without doing any kind of crit, so I avoided crit altogether, and I came through here. I grabbed these nodes, I grabbed this node, and I initially grabbed some extra freeze buildup, which does help, and extra damage is always nice. But the points were better spent elsewhere. Initially I had went this way and through, but after respec into crit, I went, of course, through the crit nodes and then up through here. These I grabbed early on because they do give you a good chunk of energy shield and evasion. You definitely should grab these nodes right here because they do help a lot. Early on, I would highly recommend grabbing at least the attack speed, though this does come in handy as well because you'll usually be at full life if you're protecting your health and your health by using energy shield as well as your evasion. You'll go path straight up this way. This is all added later. This is once you're starting to go crit, okay? But right up here, you can grab these nodes. You can get some flat evasion and energy shield, and then some extra energy shield for the amount of evasion on your body piece. You'll grab this, and then I personally went up here and grabbed these nodes right here to help sustain myself. At this point, I was already pretty good with mana. I don't use a ton of mana to begin with, and so this works out pretty well. I then path up here, and even though I have both of these nodes, and both of them are really good, because right here, this ignores elemental resistance when the enemy is frozen, and this one right here increases your damage with hits against frozen enemies. So, and it adds freeze buildup, so you can build up that freeze a lot faster, okay? I then worked my way down, and I took the nodes going up this way, and the reason for that, of course, is we get attack speed here, we get more attack speed, we get more attack speed, but we also get knockback enemies if you get a critical hit with a quarterstaff. We get freeze buildup, and then even more freeze buildup. And so that definitely helps out. We have this node right here. I finally got a okay jewel. I highly recommend looking for ones with increased critical hit chance or bonus damage. We worked our way down here, grabbed more decks. I would recommend grabbing these nodes here. We do take Herald of Ice very early on, and so this does help a lot with clear. Then we would grab these nodes here, this right here, work our way down here, and then back across this way. Now, these are all just dex nodes, and these are huge dex nodes, and the reason we're grabbing them, though, we're not going to grab these two just yet, but the reason we're grabbing them is we're pathing right over here to grab this one, Falcon Technique, which gives us 1% increased attack speed per 15 dex. So we're dex stacking to get more attack speed. And so right now we're at 226. We want to get it higher than that, obviously. You can get more off of your gear. Now, once you've transitioned from regular damage into crit damage, that's when you can start taking the rest of these nodes. So all of this crit damage right here, you'd come back down here, grab this. You can grab some crit back here. Now, I know this looks funny, but the reason is because I'm not using power charges just yet. Eventually I will use power charges and we'll take resonance, and we'll get power charges based off of our freezing and all that good stuff, so that way we'll just boost our damage. And I'll go further into that in a future video, but right now this is where the build is currently sitting. We work our way up. We're going to grab more attack speed, and more attack speed, and reduce cost of skills. So then our mana is even more free. We can look for even more defensive nodes, or use other items that will allocate damage to our mana. We could potentially drop these nodes to move them around. There are a couple of, you know, little efficiency things we could do, but beyond that, we're doing really good. We're in, like I said, we're in T6s. I'll go ahead and demo a map real quick. Go ahead and go here. Let's see what modifiers. Monster break armor. So some modifiers are really bad. As a monk, you want to avoid modifiers that slow you down, because slowing down really is rough on the monk. You know, even with good defensive layers, which I have some pretty good heavy defensive layers. Not only am I using 2 defensive auras right now, because all I'm using is Herald of Ash as far as damage goes, and Herald of Ice, my apologies. But it works out pretty well. You can come in, we clear, we just kill. The main thing here though is you want to use Shattering Palm at the beginning, the way that I have my setup working. And so we can look at the gems real quick. All right, so let's talk skills. So skill wise, we're using Unbound Avatar. Obviously we get that from our Ascendancy. We're using Persistence, which gives us a large amount of time increased. We're just using +1s from Cold Mastery, Fire Mastery, and Lightning Mastery, because this does take that into consideration, and it adds a little bit of time every level. It doesn't really do much else for us, and there aren't too many skill support gems that go with Unbound Avatar. We actually check right now. We can look under here, and there's like Life Tap and Inspiration, which doesn't really have much of an effect. Same thing for Ingenuity. Doesn't really have that much of an effect, because if we look at Unbound Avatar, it doesn't really have a huge cooldown to begin with. Okay. Secondly, our main skill, which is Ice Strikes, we're using Martial Tempo to increase our attack speed. Again, we're heavy attack speed, heavy crit. I'm using Ice Bite because it gives us 35% damage as cold for 3 seconds on freezing. So we're always freezing, so this is constantly working. And then we're using Rage Support to build up Rage. This also gives us more attack speed. So as you can see right here, Rage grants 1% more attack speed per 1 Rage gained. So we're gaining 3 Rage on melee hit, so we're gaining 3% attack speed for every attack. And we attack 4 times in a row, and so we build up that attack speed, and that gets us our increase in damage pretty quickly. I'm using Tempest Flurry. I'm playing around with it. I don't particularly like it too much. As far as I'm concerned, it attacks roughly the same speed, and we do use it to hit the bell. The bell is our actual secondary main skill. And the bell, what I'm using is Rage Forge to increase the damage when we summon it, as well as Heavy Swing, which increases the melee damage. So if we actually pull out the pull this out right here and we look under impacts, we can see a lot of the damage is physical damage. If we pull that out, if we pull this out, we can look at it again. The phys damage is 932 to 16, so forth, and then it bumps all the way up to 1258 to 2277. So this gives a huge amount of damage. And then I just threw on culling just because it's useful. Beyond that, I mean, it's nothing else. Now our debuff is our Shattering Palm. I use it as a debuff. It's really cool. But I use it to not just gain the explosions that you get from the skill, because as you use it, it also works as a secondary Herald of Ice. But because I use it to magnify the area, so it increases the size of the area that it affects, so we can hit larger groups. I use Deep Freeze for support skills, which increases freeze duration on enemies, and then I also use 50% more freeze buildup from Glaciation. Eventually we will again move towards using power charges and everything like that, but right now I'm kind of sticking with what I have. And so the 3 auras that I'm using, these are the skills I'm just kind of playing with, but these are the auras that I'm using. The first one I suggest you take is Herald of Ice when you get your first 30 spirit. I'm supporting it with Cold Infusion as well as Ambush and Clarity. And the reason I use Ambush is because, yes, we're using it for clearing. So when something explodes and something's nearby and it's at full health, it's gonna be it's gonna have a much higher chance to crit and do more damage, so we can actually clear packs faster. And then I'm just using Clarity just for mana regeneration rate, which we can, you know, we can always swap that out for something else. I'm currently using Wind Dancer, but my suggested second aura would be Ghost Dancer once you get the 30 spirit in Act 3. And I'm just supporting it with Fast Forward to lower the skill effect duration. And the reason we do that is to lower the amount between gathering Ghost Shroud. So if we check it, we can actually see it goes down quite substantially by almost a second. So that's really good. There aren't too many supports again for Ghost Dance. If we check right here, where is it at? Am I blind? I am blind, right? Ghost Dance all the way at the bottom. So there's really not a lot of supports you can go with here. There's like precision if you wanted. So another thing that we may end up doing is stacking accuracy. And the primary reason for us to stack accuracy would be because there is a notable on the tree that we can use to get even more attack speed. And I will show it to you. It's down here. Let's see. Attack. Yeah, right here. So 1% increased attack speed per 250 accuracy rating. And so this is what we need right here. And I think that obviously this is like silver, gold kind of stuff. I don't think I have any of those specifically, but that would mean we'd have to farm it up. I do not intend to path down to get this, mind you, but it could make a substantial difference attack speed wise. We don't really struggle with accuracy, but we could also come down here because it does have critical hit chance for attacks, and that does help us out. But currently that's my build. It plays really well. It's really fun. You start out with your Shattering Palm, and then you just continue with your Ice Strikes. And yeah, so the bigger area that you cover with the Shattering Palm, the more enemies that'll shatter. It's really good. I enjoy using it. It's been really awesome using in Breach and in other mechanics, especially when we have to clear packs. It's really good for Expedition, due to the fact that you can actually wait for the explosions of monsters to pop up and just take them out quickly. That is my build update and where I'm currently at. I'm going to continue working towards this goal of making this my primary build and adding more skills in. Honestly, I use a total of about 3-4 skills right now, and I can add to that to increase defenses and offenses. As I continue to work on this build, I will update y'all and put out more build updates and eventually a build guide, a full build guide on how to level it and everything. For now though, this is Elderbo saying over and out. I hope y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all next time.